Welcome to the Money Mentors Podcast.
Hope you're enjoying the summer. Thanks so much for making us part of your weekend here with your money mentors, Laurel and Taylor Stewart of Matson Financial Services. Reach out to us online anytime at matsonfinancial.com. Now, perhaps because of everything happening in the market lately, a recent Gallup poll finds just 16% of Americans think that stocks are the best long-term investment these days. Now, most 37%, in fact, say real estate would be their top choice. Found that one a little bit surprising. 23% say they would go with gold right now. Not surprising there because it's doing so well. Mm-hmm. And yet, it's interesting looking at the stats here, Laurel and Taylor, because stocks actually have the highest long-term average. So why do you think people are still so afraid to invest in stocks for the long term?
I think there is so much doom and gloom being pushed down, from media outlets of saying recession and then there wasn't a recession, or the country's going to go bankrupt, right? So everybody's just on pins and needles and think that probably in this instance, real estate, hey, I can have a rental with how things are nowadays maybe and have income, or I could sell that property pretty easily. Mm-hmm. And same with gold, hey, maybe it's more stable. But the difference is, to me, as I'm looking at this, I think real estate and gold, those answers are very for today. I don't think that those can weather storms of all different types in that ranking, right? So I think stocks, that's the one that has the track record to say, yes, it's volatile. You've got some down years. You're going to have some great years. But I mean, you look at the odds of being positive. We have charts that we talk about every month in our market updates or quarterly at our educational events that you can attend. We talk about those things, and over the long term, that's still the best place to be, right? I mean, there needs to be balance. Yes, you should have maybe some real estate and some gold, right? We talk about commodities, private equities, hedge funds, all these other things to be diversified. You shouldn't be overly saturated in one area. It's just interesting to me. How about you, Tay?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of hard to dispute that the proof's in the pudding, right? That largely the markets are going to be the most resilient, offer the best return. I personally like real estate as well as a part of your overall plan, but there's also some issues with it when it comes to liquidity and making sure that you have solid renters, or if it's a vacation rental and markets are down, are people really still going to be renting it? So are you going to be getting the income that you need off of it? Whereas the stock market, obviously you don't have to deal with renters. Mm-hmm. You got to deal with obviously volatile times. But if you have a fiduciary advisor and you have a plan put in place, you understand why you're allocated the way you are, how it's going to affect you when markets are down, when markets are up. And it gives you that peace of mind to know that we can weather this storm. We just have to call an audible from time to time. So I would totally agree that over the long term, the market's definitely going to beat out these other asset classes. But I do understand that it's been volatile this year. Mm-hmm, and you listen to the radio at times, you listen to the TV. It's just so much of the time, it just seems like doom and gloom, right? Yeah. If candidate A wins the election, market's going to tank. If candidate B wins the election, market's going to tank for this reason. There's just so much noise out there. So I think a lot of people just get nervous about it because they hear so much of this, talk, this negative talk that the markets are going to correct.
Yeah, I mean, there's every narrative out there for what positive situation there could be and every negative situation, right? And so I think the most important thing to get financial clarity is sitting down with one of our fiduciary advisors on our team and look at it and say, here are my goals, right? Here are my dreams, my goals, my desires. Here's my timeline. Everything I've worked so hard for, now it needs to start working hard for me. And that's where we get involved and show you how it can all come to life. How does everything really work together, from taxes to health insurance plans to risk analysis and what you're comfortable with. And once again, how that ties into your goals, right? Because that's really how it should be done. And then when we're weathering the storms and you're hearing about headlines, good or bad or what have you, yes, you can understand it and handle it and plug in, but you understand the philosophy and what's happening with your portfolios, so it doesn't have to make your stomach hurt or sink every time.
I think also understanding how you're allocated into the markets is important. I mean, with the volatility that we've had this year, of course, we talk about these buffered index strategies all the time. And with the volatility, we saw, the proofs in the pudding, they do perform very well, or at least help protect 15, 20% of that market loss. So if you're a person that, I still want to stay invested in the markets, but man, I just don't love the volatility that we're seeing, these buffered strategies are a great way to play both sides of the fence, protect your downside and get really attractive growth on the upside. I can't stress enough that they've been great strategies for folks. And if it's not something you've heard of or done any research on, you really should. It's a good way to stay in the markets and protect yourself.
Well, and it's been really encouraging, too, to have so many of our listeners this summer, especially after the market rebounded. I think all of us were kind of shocked at some of the volatility that set in early in the year and all the tariff talk and all that. But a lot of people have been taking advantage of the stress test that we offer to our listeners here on Money Mentors, so they can come in, see your investment philosophy, see how well diversified they are. But when you're going through someone's investments for the first time as part of that stress test that we offer, I'm sure some people are wondering, what does that entail? What do I need to bring in? And what are you going to show me? So tell us about that process.
Yeah. Well, we'll take some turns here, Tay. But I think, the first piece for you to know is everything that we do when it comes to our meetings on this journey to become a client is complimentary. And the reason we do that is because we don't think you should pay for something, because we want you to understand everything we do and why we do it. So you have so much clarity, and we're giving you that transparency before we actually have our relationship. And so we do a lot of work behind the scenes, and that's just something that you get as a package to see your net worth. You get to see, you're going to take a little risk assessment. It's just 11 questions, takes a few minutes. It's super easy. And you're going to see, where am I actually at with my comfort? And we're part of the stress test is we're going to compare that, because you're going to give us some statements, to what you're actually invested in. And a lot of times it's totally out of whack and people have no idea. They're like, whoa, I am way over, invested in risky things and I'm not comfortable with that. And there actually have been a few times where we're like, ooh, you're actually really conservative. And when you're looking at an opportunity market like we're in right now, you need to have more of an active management strategy, because inflation is eating away at your too conservative a portfolio.
My favorite part of the process is just getting to know the folks that walk through the door, right? Most everybody's bringing the statements and all the documents that we need, but I want to get to know you. What do you want retirement to look like? What are your dreams, goals, and desires? Do you have a family? Do you like to do, travel and vacations with the family? Whatever makes you tick is always interesting to me in building those relationships and then helping us foster that relationship by giving you the financial freedom to do the things that you've told me in that initial meeting that you want to do. And then you're also going to, again, walk away with the clarity of, how am I getting charged my fees, right? We're going to be very upfront about that on our end, but then also talk about, how are you being charged fees on what you currently have? Right? So we're going to talk about that.
And hidden fees, right? Because a lot of times you're in some mutual funds or some target date funds and you don't know what expense ratios you're paying. And so your advisor might say, it's a 1% fee. That could be true, but that's maybe just one of the fees, right? What about trade fees? What about 12B1 fees? All of these things. And for us, we don't have any of those. So we've got our advisory fee for managing your accounts, but we don't have portfolio change fees, right? So a lot of times if somebody's suggesting you to go from portfolio A to portfolio B, you might wonder, are they having a slow month? And with mutual funds, does this mean a commission to them? For us, we don't have the trade fees. So it doesn't matter to us what portfolio you're in. You know that we're doing it because we're looking out for your best interest. And that's why we're the fiduciary advisor team.
And another thing too, when I sit in these meetings so many times, it just seems overwhelming to folks. Like, it's just so much to sort through. When do I take Social Security? How am I going to navigate health insurance? And that's what we do here, right? We take on all that burden. We've got Medicare Matt with Mattson Health Solutions here. So when it comes to building out your income report and what type of subsidy are you going to be getting or need to get on the marketplace, and where do we need to pull income from in order to provide what you need but keep that subsidy? How is it going to affect Medicare down the road when it comes to income? We put all of that together in a really palatable form for us to sit down and go through, and you have a lot of clarity. And the best part is it's your plan. It's not mine. So we can tweak it any way that we want, but it gives you that clarity. It shows you that we've thought through all of these different steps and considered all of these things so you can start enjoying that retirement freedom.
Our goal for you is to plug into our team and our resources so you can truly enjoy the retirement you deserve.
Want weekly lessons from your money mentors? Yes. Hit the subscribe button now and listen every weekend on Wood Radio.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Fee-based financial planning and investment services are offered by Matson Financial Services, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Lakeview Financial Group, LLC, Matson Financial Services, LLC, and Lakeview Financial Group are affiliated. To find out if Matson Financial Services is licensed in your state, please call 800-536-8907.